Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Monday, the 26th of May. I am flatcapcallum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. Alright, Bank Holiday Monday is upon us. I did not play Sunday, did a few bits myself. Didn't work out, so we had a day off the channel, and we are back on starting the new week. As far as Bank Holiday Monday goes, I thought I'd probably find some interesting things on the flat, and that is not the case. I've got no bets on the flat. I've got a four-horse Yankee, the first two races at Cartmel, and the last two races at Ballinrobe. They will not be the most obvious races for some folk. Some would be, some might not be. So that is me. All jumps. Two Cartmel, two Ballinrobe. Unfortunately, there is not four more forecasts from Windsor, but we'll get to that. So 9.75 is the play for Monday. That's how we're starting our week. And before we do that, we'll do the review of Saturday. If you played Saturday and you played all of it, then you know we had a good day Saturday, which is excellent because it meant we had a really nice week at the end. We had good day Thursday and good day Saturday. So we stopped the slide of losing running weeks that we were on, and we've clawed back some, not all, but some of the deficit in May because May was looking pretty grim. I think we're heading into the week with 6 days of the month left, minus 35. So a couple of decent days along the way. We might be able to get ourselves out of that one, or we might just have to accept that May is overall not being my month, even though Thursday, Saturday last week we did come out of it well. Okay, so the review: Jungle Cove, not good enough. Sky Luna, don't know what was up with that one. Ran a terrible race, and it's scheduled to run again at Cartmel on Monday. I mean, I wouldn't be touching it, but I am playing in the same race. So if it goes and does anything, I'll be rightly miffed. But I'm playing a horse in the same race as that one on Monday if it runs. And then Tiger Tulip, I'll get to the other bit involved in that bet. But yeah, won really, really nicely. 20-1 out to 33-1. So we got a nice profit on the patent. With one winner there. Channel only got 20-1. If you got 33s, well done to 33-1 each way. Quarter the odds is not too shabby. They were pants, and then we went on to Cordial did place, or having been all over the chip shop from a price because it went off. I think it went off shorter, and it was twice as big as that at one point. But we just got place pence back for that really. And then the one that got us over the line to a really nice place. We finished off on Saturday evening with the forecast in the sixth runner. Tiger Tulip won very comfortably. Strike was 2 lengths behind. It was 2 lengths back to third place. You'll not see a much more comfortable 6 furlong handicap ending like that when you've got a forecast on it. So there's a few bits I'm going to talk about with that race, but I'll do that after the bets because I want to talk about forecasts and I want to talk about price movement. Forecast price movement and long-term strategy, that kind of topic. We'll do that after the bet though. Right, so let's give you the for Monday if you're playing. 220 Cartmel. I haven't played this on the channel this year. I might have done last year. I haven't checked all the way back. It's a horse I follow because they keep turning this out in maiden races, right? So it's clearly a very, very low standard horse, but this race is dire, absolute dire quality stuff. So you've got an odds-on favourite that absolutely should be the odds-on favourite, and then I think you've got two horses that haven't run under rules over hurdles, and then everything else is so bad. Like, when I say bad, I mean, virtually none of them are going to make handicappers who are going to come anywhere in a hurdle race. So maybe that's the thing, they just turn some of these out in maiden races and hope for a little bit of place money. But it's a bad, awful race, right? But that's why I like it. So the odds-on favourite is pushing a bit of value. So the market says the odds-on favourite will win, and then the two that have never run over hurdles under rules should come second or third, and that may well happen. But best of a terrible bunch of zebras, I am trying my luck on Raincloud. Of the horses that have run, its best performances, actually I had it down as like second best, basically. Whether or not it will actually truly be second best, who knows? And it runs some terrible races and some not very good races, and we want it to run a not very good race, which I think would be good enough to come second or third in this race, if you catch my drift, right? This is not how the professionals try and sell you a horse, is it? Right? So this is the reality of how I go fishing for value. I'm looking at a terrible race, a not very good horse that I want to run not very well, but that might be good enough to come third. There's the sell. So rain clouds in at 40s. Then we go in the second race at Cartmel, 2:55 Cartmel. Patine, 13-year-old, we're on a right veteran run. We've got a couple of them in here. 14, 16s in places you can still get. It's got some nice enough form over Cartmel, has won fresh, certainly run well fresh, and so I think the age is what will play against it in the betting market, but I would happily ignore the age factor. And if you play it on bare form, this horse has got framing chances. So 14s is in. Then we go 7 o'clock Ballinrobe. So we've got a bit of an hour, we've got 4 hour wait there. What's the fella to do? I want it to win just because I love when Jerry Hannon does the commentary and calls out this horse. He gets very excited. It's got form on this race. The last 2 times it's come out and run well in this race. Which is a veterans race. So this is a 13-year-old, this is a 12-year-old. So it ran in the race when it was 10 and 11, and they're trying again at 12. And 9s, it might be a short price in terms of single figures. There's value in 9 still, I think, based on the form. So that's in. And then we're finishing off this one, which I really interested to see on this 7:30 Ballinrobe, right? Cluane Chormaic. I've butchered it, whatever it is. Cluane Chormaic, we'll go with that. 33s, you can get 50s in places. I think Paddy's Betfair, I think something like that. 28s is around as well, but 33s is a really fair price at the time of making this video. This horse, I mean, from a star rating, it didn't come out strong, and I'll explain to you why it didn't come out strong. There's 16 runners in there, and there is a bunch of them that haven't necessarily come out and run in a bumper race, right? So you've got some unexposed, and bumpers are always unexposed, but horses that have not been running the discipline, and you've got 16 runners. So those are 2 things against it. And also, we've only seen the horse once. Those are all the negatives, which is why it doesn't come out strong on the star system. But I think that horse is so wrong in the market, I cannot tell you, right? That horse has got the best piece of form of any of the horses that are running a bumper, and the ones that haven't run in a bumper don't look necessarily like worldies. This horse is so wrong in the market. So it ran once, and it ran in Punchestown, in the Punchestown Festival, in a decent, I think will be a decent standard bumper. There's quite a few bumpers at Punchestown Festival, but yeah, it ran against some horses that had done really well in pointed points. There's a couple in that field that kind of stack up the rating of the whole form, but it's by quite some way the best piece of form of any of the horses that run in a bumper in the race. But because it was 7th of 18, or I think it's 7th of 18, I mean, I'll talk about 7th of 17, we're close, with 7th of 18, it's just completely overlooked in the market. So 50 to 1, I saw that was literally like that is absolute steal of the century. Now the horse has got to go and back it up. It's got to back it up on a different track, on slightly different going, against horses, some of whom we haven't seen before, right? So all these things are why there's no sort of framing certainties. But if that horse puts in a performance of the same level in this race, that should be enough for framing. But with 16 horses, we only get free play at the first free. But I'd be really surprised if that horse is not go off significantly shorter. And it's the type of horse, and I'm going to kind of come on to this in a little bit, but it's the type of horse where, that horse could go off single figures, and people would think, oh, there's a massive gamble on it. It's just not. There could be some gamble on it, I don't know. But what I'm saying to you, if it goes single figures, that isn't necessarily market gamble. That is market correction on that horse. So there we go. We've got an absolute donkey in a terrible maiden. We've got a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 16 runner bumper. That's my 4, right? You go fill your boots at Windsor, Leicester and Redcar if you want, but that's where I'm playing. So the bet, 25p each way Yankee. We've got an extra double, so I wanted to put a bit more on this. So we've gone with the bigger price one. So if we start off with a place of rain cloud, then that would be great, but we'll see. 25p each way extra double. 50p each way singles, rain cloud, patine, and the bottom one. And then a 75p win single on What's the Fella to Do. We've got Sky's the best bookie, but only because it's this race, therefore no one else is. Everybody else's standard terms, which is 3 for each of those races. 9.75. That's the bet. All right. And then I was going to talk a little bit more about this 7.35 at Windsor, because it was great to get the forecast over the line. We've done, I think it's the 6th one I've played this year. And of the 5 before that one, I think 3 of them had a non-runner in it. So we haven't had a great deal of luck in there. So, it was great to get one on over the line, because lots of people have written in the comments, I've had it before where people have sort of said, I don't play forecast before and this is a new thing for them. And quite a few people commented saying they don't think they've ever had a forecast come up, let alone one with a decent payout on it. Now, the forecast, I was really happy with the forecast. Clearly the result was great. But on the other hand, we got lucky. And I say we got lucky because there was a horse that was backed into 13-8 favourite that didn't really have any right to be backed in that short. So whether it was real money or false money, I don't really give a monkeys, to be honest, because what happened was it meant that Strike went from like 6-4 to 9-4. And this all happened within 7 or 8 minutes before the race. And Tiger Tulip was about 16s, went to 33s, and you could have got bigger. So because this horse was shortened, whether it real money nor fake money, I don't know, but it basically pushes the value out of everything else. So it wasn't like Tiger Tulip wasn't fancied at all. It was the fact that this money on this other horse and made it an artificial favourite, and it went out wide, and whether it was the bad ground or just weren't good enough, I don't know. But the front 2 were on the inside near the rail, and they scooted well clear. So what that meant by pushing those prices up in that last 7 or 8 minutes, the value of the forecast was all probably more than double what it should have been and what it would have been. So we would have been sat. I mean, it paid out 110 as a straight forecast for a £1 bet. We did it on the channel for 50p. If you go 10 minutes before the off, it probably would have been worth more like 45, 50 quid. And that's where I calculated so when I do forecasts, I calculate what I think it is probably worth, and then I give it some range to think what's kind of high end, what else could you get from that, what's low end, based on where I think the markets are going to move. And that far exceeded the range that I had on that. Top end, I was looking at 65 for that, and it comes out with 110. So we were very lucky, as well as obviously, fair dues, I picked the horses, but we were really lucky because we more than doubled the payout. The caveat is with 365, so I've learnt stuff based on this forecast bet, because I have not got an encyclopedic knowledge of every single betting company and all the different permutations, variations they have on bets. But what I've learned based on feedback, unfortunately for some, is that 365 don't pay out the industry straight forecast payout. They pay out based on the prices when you take the bet. So if you take the bet before 8 o'clock in the morning, so before best price guaranteed, and then the horses both get bigger, you don't get as much money as the straight forecast pays. If you place the bet after 8 o'clock, which is 100% the advisory going forward, if you're 365, place it after 8 o'clock and don't do it the night before, because it's not like my normal bets where you're getting more value the night before. Place it after 8 o'clock and you get best price guaranteed, which basically means if you've got better odds in the morning and then the horses shorten up and this industry straight forecast pays out 20, if the odds were equivalent to you getting 40, you'd get both. You get the 40 quid. So best price guaranteed on forecast is a great bet if you've got 365. I currently haven't got access to a 365 account, so it's not something I'm familiar with. So yes, so I apologise to a couple of people who've sent me messages. I had some email exchange as well around people kind of querying the payout. So it does seem to be a 365 difference. So ultimately 365 are great to put on a forecast after 8 o'clock because you get best price guaranteed. But before that, you get the odds as was. And because of this silly late market move that we benefited from, it meant anyone using 365 who put the forecast on before 8 o'clock didn't benefit. I hope that makes sense. The other thing I was going to say with forecasts, in the history of the channel, I've done a few. And basically last year, when I was having a bit of a crappy year, I spent time trying to refine some other avenues and other strategies in order to try and compensate and bolster up for the fact that it was going terrible on the normal things I play. And one of the things I worked on was forecasts. So I've done some prior to this year, but what I refined last year, and I was really happy with where it came out, and that's why I'm putting more forecasts on the channel. And I think I mentioned this before, I only play forecasts for flat turf. Don't do forecasts on jumps, and I don't do forecasts on all weather. So the stats and stuff that I've kept over a period of time basically tell me that turf is where there's a margin, or where there's a bit trickier, and jumps is too much variable with the well, the fact is they've got to go over jumps, haven't they? So there will be more forecasts as through the flat turf season. But what I would flag is, like all the things I do, it's a long-term strategy, and we've had a nice result early doors as far as I was being concerned, because we've had 6 forecasts. I think 3 of them we got an element of refund, so we've only actually lost on 2, and this one's 1. It's paid out 55 quid for a 50p reverse. I don't think I'd probably put 50 more of those out over the course of the season. So if I played 50 more of them and every single one of them lost, there'd still be a small margin of profit in there. So please don't get overexcited next time I put a forecast out and think, well, I've got to play all these. They come in rarely, but where the system I use is, the history of it tells me I can make a margin off it over the long term. So I could put 50 more forecasts out this year, and we could lose on every single one of them, but you'd still be up overall very marginally. Now, I don't want to lose on all of them, and I don't think I'll put 50 more of them out. So, some days there'll be a few, and they might go for a couple of weeks and not have any. But yeah, there's various kind of variables that I need in place in order for me to feel like it's worth playing, and that's there is an element of value, even though it's unpredictable, because the markets can move afterwards, as opposed to me taking fixed odds is something I am absolutely aware of. If I back a horse at 20s, I'm saying there's value at 20s. With the forecast, there's always going to be the risk that the 2 horses I pick shorten up, so even if they go and finish first and second, it might come out with a much smaller return than I was hoping for, which is why I put, like I mentioned, I kind of put a bit of a range, and you'll hear me talk about ranges quite a bit. Like, I'll talk about in a bumper race, I'll talk about a horse I kind of see it as a 3rd to 6th kind of a horse. That's why I got a bit excited about the other bumper horse that we've got today, because the ranging of that horse is more like 1st to 5th, and most of the ones I put out tend to be like a 3rd to 6th type of gig, 3rd to 5th, that kind of stuff. So that when it's 1st to 5th range, that's much more exciting at a price like that. Anyway, that's that. So hopefully I've explained forecast, and just basically go easy, don't get excited, right? So if you've been putting 50p each way on, then don't go suddenly put £5 each way on and jump it up like that, because the channel's not going to do that, because the whole point is, you'll see what I do, the stakes are consistent and steady. I know people will tell you about variable betting stakes and using your betting bank to inform what your staking is. It's not something I do, and it's not something, when I've looked into it, that I have any belief would return higher. I think it slightly protects you if you're on a losing run, but I think actually the offset is then you actually lose out when you're on a winning run. So you might lose less, but you might make less profit, if that makes sense. That's my belief on some of those types of systems. So yeah, mine's a higher risk. I lose more on a bad run, but hopefully when we do win, we win better. So I keep the stakes nice and consistent. There's a few things I was going to mention on there as well. I think there was a message from Martin, who's not messaged before, which absolutely touched me. He said he had some issues gambling before with roulette, lost a lot of money. He's now retired and disabled, doesn't have a lot of money at all, bets 1p, 2p Yankees. He says Labrooks let him do that, so that's why he plays with them. And he did the forecast full 50p each way, and he won £55. and he went and bought himself a takeaway for the first time in a donkey's years, and it just touched me because that's what it's about, folks. Right? This, you know, there's the holy grail, right? The day that if we can hit it at some point in the future, can we hit a £5,000 win where everyone wins £5,000 and we all go to the Bahamas, right? That's the kind of the mythological, you know, can we ever do that? But what a lot of it's about is just actually helping people who have historically not necessarily won or not won much or whatever, and trying to keep people on the straight and narrow, and demonstrating that by small staking you can win and have nice days. And if you do that, the best thing to do is go and enjoy it and treat yourself, treat your family, your loved ones, whoever it is. Don't be just going, do you know what, tomorrow I'm going to double up and do more, and because that's the way at the poorhouse. You've got to have discipline in what you do, and I appreciate not everybody has discipline, but by having discipline you keep to it, right? So I had 4 weeks that absolutely sucked in real life and on the channel with betting. I didn't change anything. I didn't change anything at all. And last week we had 2 days that were nice and it was good. And hope is in the long term we'll make a profit this year. But I would never guarantee that to you. Right now we're about 16 behind. We've got to. So we've been behind much more than we've been ahead this year. I'd like to get ahead, but we'll see, because we got ourselves a little bit ahead and then we've rolled ourselves all the way back and now we're getting back again. So we could end up this week worse off, but we're starting at 16 minus for the year. All right. Yeah, I think that was everything I was going to say about stuff like that, forecast and all that sort of stuff. All right, I think I'll leave it there. Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not sure how exciting it looked. Well, it doesn't look brilliantly exciting. So I shall let you know whether or not I'm playing or not playing on the channel. And then we'll just take it day by day. But 6 days of May, let's see how we can get on. So can we do anything about the minus 35 of May? We'll see. All right, that's me. Enjoy your bank holiday Monday. Bye-bye.